So it was about 3 months ago, and I had my cell phone in my pocket in my blue jeans, and I kind of climbed this little metal fence, like 4-foot fence, just to be able to reach up high enough to grab some of these granny apples, the little green ones. And then immediately, like within 10-15 minutes later, I'm at the grocery store and I take my phone out to look at it, and I'm seeing all over the place ads for granny apples, all kinds of things related to green apples. I knew that was bizarre. So I've had this stuff happen a lot, where I'll just see something and my mind thinks about that thing for one moment, and it starts showing up in my feed in videos and ads. And I thought it was just because I'm a targeted individual. But now you're seeing just standard regular people. Like I just saw this black gentleman that went into a friend's house, and there was like a really old granny clock on the wall. Like, I'm not sure if it was one of those freestanding ones like within the wood cabinet, or if it was just on the wall. But he noticed, he focused on it for just like a second. Didn't even mention if he had a thought or not. Just focused on it for like 1 or 2 seconds. And he starts seeing all of these old, very, very similar clocks with the Roman numerals, And I just watched a whole video about just regular people mentioning how their phone is connected to their thoughts. When they don't mention that thought to anyone, they don't talk about it to anyone, just seeing something and having a thought about it. Or in my case, where my phone was in my pocket. It's bizarre. I did pray recently saying, and I've had this prayer before, that I would love to just have one friend that can lift me up, that's a devout Christian, whether they be Catholic or not is irrelevant. Just, someone that is on the same journey as me at like the same wavelength. We can't be unequally yoked. So someone that's really into praying every day, reading scripture every day, and has been on this walk with the Lord for like 6 or 7 years or more, devoutly seeking him for 6 or 7 years or more, and nothing's going to take him off that path. And then I said, and in that same, and I quoted some different scripture like Adam and Eve, God said it's not good for man to be alone, and other scripture that supports, that it's good to have people to support us on this walk and lift us up if we get a little bit discouraged. And then I kind of threw in as a caveat, and if you did see fit, for a significant other female that is in the same vein, extremely religious, has no qualms with me saying, let's be friends for a while, before we even think about any romance. And if it goes that way, no premarital sex at all. And that female being totally on board with that. So I threw that in there. And then I started getting all these feeds about women, dating sites for women that want to date older men, Asian, Japanese women that you can chat with overseas, and they'll arrange to come over here, all this stuff. It's like 80% of the ads on my phone is about hooking up, getting a woman. And then it comes into real life. The exact type of female that I'm attracted to, about a 40-year-old, sees me afar. I'm leaving the grocery store, so I have my dog's leash in one hand and my bags from the grocery store in the other hand. And she just zeroes in on me from afar. And I notice it, but you know, my dog's going pee or whatever, and I'm right by the entrance of the pet store, and that's where she's walking into the pet store. And so she kind of looks embarrassed, puts her head down, and you can tell she's like kind of smiling a little bit, like feeling embarrassed that I kind of noticed how she was just focused on me. So when she gets about like 10 feet away, she looks up at me with a smile, and I smile back. And, you know, it was just so obvious that she was saying, you know, engage, you know, ask me like what kind of pet I have or whatever. And I just, you know, after I smiled, I put my head down and just kept walking home thinking about this, you know, how like it's in real life, and it's all over my phone. You know, let's get you with a woman. Let's get you with a woman. Let's get you with a woman. And it's like, you know, it's like we're being hacked. You know, it might have something to do with all these chemtrails that people see in the sky. You know, like this guy just had his truck detailed, and right afterwards, there's like all these little white dots by the time he gets home. And it's like sap. When he rubs his finger over the white dots, they kind of smear. Another woman showed the ground, and there was all this blue kind of iridescent flakes on the ground. So there's just like all kinds of weird stuff going on. Elon Musk says 2026, the neural chip will be totally available for anyone that wants to be a mini computer. Two people that identify as a Christian saying, you know, if this thing comes down about, you know, you have to have this digital ID not only in your wallet, but implanted in order to be able to buy or sell, to be able to get your pension money. You know, would you get in? They're thinking about it. Well, as Christians, you know, obviously that is a no. And what's shocking is these two people identify as Christians. So, you know, you have to, in this day and age, realize how quickly stuff is leaning towards like ML. I can't really say it, but if you know what ML is, we're kind of, you know, we're all being scrutinized and being treated in a totalitarian regime authoritatively. But back to this thoughts and just seeing something and having it come on your phone regularly, thinking that it was just for an individual that is kind of hacked, you know, that's a targeted individual with gang stalking. But it's happening to much more than just TIs. So I'm going to leave it there. Leave a comment. I know I said I wouldn't be posting videos for a while, but man, this stuff is really heating up. So once again, perfect time to bring that relationship with the Lord into perfect alignment. God bless.